You're welcome back. And whilst we were at the break, very interesting discussion going on. And in fact, we are reliably informed that even the 13 who are standing trial for the substantive, offences, their case is that they were not the ones at the Regional Coordinating Council who did the things that have been, alleged that they have done. And because of that, they are in court. So who is going to identify that they were the ones who molested, as it were, or assaulted the man in question? And more critically, is the man in question really going to get into the dock and assist the state to prosecute those people?
In other words, they could be also acquitted,
right?
Under the same
law. Interesting. So I'll share some of your messages, and then we'll move on to the next issues that we have to discuss. And on Musa Abator in Kumasi says that something respectfully, the Deputy AG explanation is not clicking. The President Akufo-Addo's Delta 8 attack on the judge was deliberately organized, yet the Deputy AG is saying it's spontaneous. Well, the advice says it was spontaneous. Nana Ansa Obofor in UK says that, so what at all is NDC's problem concerning Delta Force discharge? They are just making lame horse noise because they are in opposition and must be heard. They should stop the hypocrisy and spare our ears. Anyone who would put the Delta Force issue and Kweku Ninja issue in same basket would be making a big mistake. Kweku Ninja's incident didn't have political stains and was a crime against the police. The Delta Force issue is different. It has a political tone. No evidence, no prosecution. Okay. Kwame in UK. This one is from Ibrahim Kopa in Tamale, and he says that the press conference organized by the minority is an expression of their limited understanding of the law. Per their understanding of the case, they expected conviction of the members of the Delta Force irrespective of the facts of the case. Nana Kwame Michael Amening in the UK says that the GBA condemnation of the 8 members of the Delta Force who were freed by the court was not in place, but they should know that if there is lack of evidence, then prosecution cannot go on. So I urge those who are aggrieved at their discharge, especially the minority, to submit any concrete evidence to cause their rearrest, as President Akufo-Addo had stated emphatically on several times that under the leadership, his leadership, okay, whoever acts unlawfully will face the full rigors of the law without fear or favor. President Akufo-Addo will not forsake or will not tolerate any kind of impunity under his leadership, which used to be the norm under the leadership of the former president. Okay, that's quite a bit, and there's still a lot to read for your message. Can we move on to go to another person's message rather? Okay, so I'll end those messages there, and then we move on to some other issues that we have to discuss this morning. Now, as you may be aware, there's been a bit of drama, and I want to choose where to start from as far as these issues are concerned. There have been quite a number of scandals that have attracted the BNI's attention in the course of this week. But maybe we should begin with the PURC. The PURC members are being probed by the BNI, and as a result of that, its head of HR, Nanaya Jantua, has put in a resignation, says she's going out. The issues that led to that. The executive secretary, Samuel Sapong, had some issues where monies were transferred or put into his personal accounts. And these were very questionable amounts of monies that were also given for hampers, 120,000 for 350 hampers. That's where Nana Ajanto appears to be undergoing the questioning, and a couple more issues that have come up. So, how do we, analyze the issues as far as the PURC is concerned? Start with Kofi Bento.
Right. I mean, there's a long view, and if we have time, I'll go into that. But the short issue, how do we analyze these issues as far as the PURC is concerned? And again, I declare I've been closely associated with this matter. One, let our institutions work. If there are problems and they are being investigated by the BNI, let the institution work. We all have heard things, we have seen things, we've checked, we've spoken to people. What is the fact? What is the outcome of the investigation? If it comes out and it's clear that somebody has done something wrong, let the law take its course. As we speak, there's been no outcome or conclusion of the BNI investigation. And I'm aware those people are reporting almost daily, and there are all kinds of things going on for months. Okay, but you have workers who are on the rampage saying, dismiss them. Now, if you take the long view, we ought to be careful as a country when we allow workers to go on a rampage and insist that they don't like their leadership. If you cast your mind back, it happened to Dr. Reku Brobe at VRA. Many people believed he was doing a good job, but many people also admit that he may have had problems with his human relations. Okay, but which one do we want? Nice people who do nothing, or maybe people who are not so tough people who deliver? And in Ghana especially, when you deliver, you are going to put pressure on workers. And if we are going to allow workers to always come up and say, we don't like him, and they are fired, even when they are under investigation, when the investigations have not ended, when the findings of fact have not come out, and a conclusion has been made, then where are we going? Then again, PURC has a board. They run from the office of the president. Nanaya, for instance, is PRO, or Director for Public Affairs. She can't get up and take money and go and act on herself. There must have been a change. The board must have agreed something, some money must have been voted, something must have gone on. I have commented on this matter before because I have been approached by the workers. I've spoken to each of the parties involved. Okay? And the question is, I asked, the accountant who signed and paid the money into his personal account, doesn't he have any ethics for his work? What if the man wanted to pay
so far
money?
they say they have interrogated about 20 of the staff.
Yeah. So, you see, the point I'm making is this. We must always take the holistic view of things. And we must be very careful attacking only leaders. Because we all know there are problems in our state institutions. Sometimes the problems are not only from the leadership. In this particular matter, the matter is under investigation. And you have workers out there saying, sack them, sack them, sack them. What if the investigations come out and show that indeed some of the workers are even more complicit? And you don't know what I've seen. What if it comes out? By the way, I'm on record 2 years ago as having said that the whole PURC should go. Why? Because, something I'm serious. It's an expensive entity that was intended to perform a certain job. I am not sure they're performing the job, but it's still very expensive. The job they are performing was being performed somewhere before they were formed. And many people will tell you, especially from the analyst community, that if we lost the PURC, we won't miss them. Because between the ministry and Energy Commission, that job could have been done. So we need to take a holistic view to this whole thing. But let's come back to the substantive issue. Has anybody committed any crime? There is a certain prima facie, situation. BNI is investigating. Let them come out, and please let them be quick about this thing, because some of these things take a bit too long, and then you have some of these situations going on. Now Nanaya says she's resigned. Okay, is she going to continue to cooperate? Is she a member of staff? Is she not? It throws things a bit into the air. I think making our institutions work is important. And let's also sometimes put a bit of focus on the workers.
She has accumulated leave, and she's taking those leave. Her resignation is actually supposed to kick in November.
Yes.
So what it means is that the question about whether or not she's a staff, she remains a staff. She remains a staff.
Yes. She remains a staff. But you and I know that you don't have any responsibility to assist the person trying to make a case against you.
That's right.
Exactly. Knowing that she's also terminal, She's taking her terminal leave. Is she going to cooperate or not? So I'm saying sometimes these things affect the investigation itself. So please, let's let institutions work, okay? But we need to take a very serious look at PURC itself as an institution.
Right.
The whole thing.
Kuku, what do you say on the PURC?
Well, I go along with Kofi's drift in essence because the investigation is ongoing. We don't have any findings of fact and things yet, or conclusions and all that. So one has to be a bit careful, cautious, and maybe charitable to those who are being mentioned. I was only intrigued by one thing, and I would not sound judgmental, but how come monies belonging to PURC found its way to a personal account of the executive secretary? That kind of practice doesn't make sense to me.
The finance man at the place has tried to explain why there was a difficulty. Yes, he had to put the money in there because the team was already advanced in Kumasi or so, and they needed to put the money into the personal account of the executive secretary so it can be quickly withdrawn.
It's a bad practice. It's a very bad, not just, it's criminal. But I'm sorry, I'm sounding judgmental. It's something I'm resisting myself from doing. But it doesn't make sense. Okay? It just doesn't make sense.
If there's evidence to show that it was used for the purpose for which it was earmarked.
Beyond that, the practice itself is bad. You may be a good person, so you decided not to chop some of the money. How about the next person? That is why the institution has its own accounting mechanisms.
That's right.
Yes, so what kind of good Samaritan job was that? What if somebody decides to abuse it next time around? And we are assuming that nothing has been found wrong as whether he misapplied the money. But it didn't have to happen in the first place. So that, to that extent, I would judge that small aspect. It's a bad practice, very unethical and very unacceptable.
But Kofi seems to prejudge one of them already in a manner or sort of give advice, legal advice, because he suggests that, look, you're inviting head of HR or so because of an expenditure. The head of HR definitely would not have determined that I need this money to do this, and she just goes ahead to do it. Yeah. There would have been a board, the board would have approved of the money, the finance process would have gone through before the money would have been made available to her. So what are they looking for? And do you think that her decision to check out of anger or so is
well, I hope it wasn't out of anger, but I thought it was good for her to do that, to create space for the investigators to proceed without anybody thinking of anything. I think it's an honorable thing she's done, you know. But let the investigations establish.
Then the rest who are being investigated should also resign?
No, I said she took a personal decision.
Right.
This is a personal.
Was
she forced?
No,
yeah,
she was not.
Yeah, it's good because she decided that, look, her conscience will not allow her to stay put whilst the investigations are going. It's a personal decision.
Okay.
So I think I admire that, you know. But the point about the board did this and that, all that will be established through the investigations. If the board was there and the board didn't do the right thing, the board members themselves ought to be accountable.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Roxanne.
Yes. What is unfortunate is that sometimes when the security agencies conclude their investigations, it's not placed in the public domain. That's sometimes these are the difficulties. Otherwise, then we'll be patient that the investigations be done, the findings be made public. Then we know the recommendations that would have been made. But very often we are denied. So we are made to guess, to surmise, and to even be judgmental and conclude before they are done. But the point I side with Kweku, you see, that practice, about 5 years ago, a matter came before me. A private person, and like Kweku said, yes, you may be a good person, but when you leave, the person who takes over from you may not be a good person. Or indeed, like it came before me as a lawyer, there is death. A huge sum of money was transferred into a public officer's account. 4 days later, he died in a motor accident. And I speak of about in excess of 5 million Ghana cedis. An accountant. Now, when he died, they couldn't access the money. And the family also came to me, asserting that the money indeed belonged to the estate of this man. And I'm telling you, so this practice is endemic within the public service. You see an accountant of a public institution, he's putting up guest houses. They are building hostels. Look, they take public money, they do investments with it, they call it quick turnabout. 6 months, nobody checks it, they put it back. And sometimes the quantum of money involved is so huge that the return to them is equally good. And so we need, this case should be a test case. There should be a systemic cleanup. Yes, under President Kufuor, a whole ministry was set up to sanitize the public sector. It's not been pursued since. People die. This man died. Eventually, the people involved, they released part of the money. I couldn't tell whether it was a public fund, but it was a transaction that they did. I didn't know where it originated from. You understand? It was a transaction they did and got the money. And so they decided to dump the money in his account. Then they'll regroup and distribute. So being the lawyer, I just had to fight for the interest of the family. Eventually, we had to agree to a certain proportion. So these things happen. And they take our public money, they die a bit. Did he attract interest? Where did the money go from there? Or it was just sitting there until the scandal broke out?
Roxy is talking about this quick turnaround thing. People take public monies, invest it. When PURC broke down, we saw some.
Newton.
A few things have happened. He said something I wanted to say, but I hesitated, that this is endemic in the public sector. Money is being given to people. And one of the explanations I got was that you are traveling to Kumasi, and sometimes they'll give it to you in cash. Yeah. One of the defenses for Mr. Sapon was that he had the option to take it in cash and go and distribute. But he said, look, for safety's sake, put it in my account. When I get there, I'll take it out. Again, it may look very bad, and it's a bad practice because it's going on all over the place and all kinds of things happen. But when you go into the investigation, the fact that it's endemic, people are doing it, and does not excuse the fact that you did it and it's wrong. Yes. But we must also not lose sight of the fact that if this is something that really is not strange, then we have to take a whole look at that whole thing.
That's my point.
I agree.
Okay? And it's not just PURC. Maybe somebody has an axe to grind and they make this a case. But let the investigation show whether there was personal culpability, whether there was an intention to defraud. And like Samson said, was the money used for its purpose? Right. If Nana used 120,000 for 400 hampers.
400,000 Ghana?
I think so. Hey. So, and he's talking about 5 million.
And I'll speak of 5 million.
Yes. I'm telling you. Do you know about how much money sometimes people put in bags and go and do payments in Parliament?
Did you say that?
I didn't say it. I didn't say it to Parliament. I didn't say something. I didn't say that. I will say something. For DNT for people.
No, I didn't hear what
you
said.
Let's hear from Carl. Let's hear from Carl. And I was hoping we are running out of time, but I was hoping we could add the NCA, KMA matters, and then we'll take a break and come and finish up on the bond issue, which the NDC is going to the US about. But let's hear you on the PURC matter. If you can also speak to the NCA, now we understand that the NCA boss and his people are agreeing to refund the monies that we are told that they shared among themselves of $4 million. $4 million, and the boss alone.
Samson.
Yeah.
There is no justification for the transfer of the money into a private account. No justification whatsoever. Whatever reasons they are given are venal. In fact, with all respect, they are fatuous things. These are just things that have come as an afterthought. Because certain things have come to the public domain, they must proffer some defenses and all that. you know, was it not possible that they operate a bank account and the bank exists in Kumasi? Was it not possible to talk to the branch manager there to prepare? Was all these were all possible?
Okay.
So there's no
the banks are networked.
But I am hesitant in saying so, but I will come to the conclusion there was a sinister motive. There was a sinister motive. Otherwise, what they did, they knew that it wasn't. You see, these are discretions, my brother, because you are entrusted with public money, so you exercise discretion in managing it. If you manage any money, and you must comply with all the dictates of discretionary powers in the Constitution.
Yeah.
In 296 and 23, that if you are an administrative body or you are a manager of a particular thing, you have a discretionary power, you exercise it in a manner in conformity with the Constitution. And I don't think that this exercise of discretionary power conforms to the principles of the Constitution. I think investigations are ongoing, as my colleagues have said. We are not judgmental at this stage. We are only just looking at the weird situations that occurred and we are commenting on it. But at the end, I believe that if the BNI build a proper docket and they come to certain conclusions, it will proceed to the next step and justice will be done. Nobody is going to shield any person.
Okay.
We are in an era where accountability is the watchword and we will protect the public purse.
Okay. So one of the other scandals we can add quickly and see what you have to say about is the NCA matter, where we are told that they were supposed to purchase some spying equipment for national security, which was supposed to cost the state 8 million, and out of the total amount, 4 million appears to have gone missing. BNI has interrogated the boss and other persons who are involved, board members, whom specific amounts of money have been mentioned that went into their private pockets, so to speak. And now we are told, according to the Daily Graphic report, and I'll just read this paragraph, which is important, about a claim that they intend to pay back. That is, the Daily Guide said that it learned that the Jojo Pong, who was giving $100,000, is cooperating with the investigators, while one Alhaji Salifu Osman, who was a chief director at the Ministry of Interior before John Mahama appointed him a deputy national security coordinator, who was reportedly giving $70,000, is said not to be cooperating with the investigators. Efforts to reach him, they said, went unsuccessful as he was not picking his calls. Jojo Pong is equally ready to return the 1.5 million sitting in his account to the NCA.
Samson, when I read it for the first time, I thought it was a satirical fictional piece. To be very candid with you, I was thinking that it's a satire and a fictional piece somebody else, a writer, was putting out there. I couldn't believe it that this happened in present-day Republic of Ghana. And my initial comment was that, is it that this is just a tip of the iceberg and that's what is happening? Or it's a one-stop thing? It was an unbelievable spectacle to behold when I was reading this thing. And there are admissions. Some of them are admitted even receiving the money.
The report is that they have agreed to refund some of them.
You see, I think, Samson, you know, our law allows for those things and all that. But in addition, we have to go beyond that and start prosecuting people. You see, I have said it, and I'm now boring the ears of our many listeners anytime I appear in shows. You see, it appears to me that the guinea fowl thief in my village, within 24 hours, is at Navrongo prisons.
Expressly.
Within 24 hours, he gets there and they ask, are you guilty or not guilty? He says, I'm guilty. He goes to jail. A guinea fowl. Then we use the pen and rape the nation. And what happens is that we go into big English negotiations. Talking about refunds and whatnot.
The law allows it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying that we must also identify the weaknesses in our law and going forward, advocate a legal reform to ensure that we take certain measures that will stem the tide. Because if I know that when I steal it... But you know that when you are coming under the law, you don't refund just the amount. Because there ought to be reparation. Yes, reparation. So you pay an extra amount, you pay some... interest on the quite
money.
A number of the cases I've seen that I think there were some people at Controller and Accountants General Department when they were caught. At the end they paid including the reparation and then the state dropped a matter against them. Yes, I agree. But should it continue? You see, there will be a motivation.
The state does not exactly drop the matter. If it is they've been charged before the court.
Exercise discretion,
you are found guilty,
yes,
but you are not sentenced.
That's the point.
So you have the guilt conviction upon your.
Yes, the conviction is there. But I'm saying that, you see, if you put it in a high interest yielding account, okay, the reparation and everything, you will still have something in your pocket.
Okay.
You have still benefited. So we have to make it a disincentive.
They even negotiate for a higher interest.
Absolutely.
Aside
we have to
from
make
what is
it
prevailing
unattractive. Unattractive because if we do, then it will save us a certain deterrence. And look at the amount, $4 million.
Right.
If you convert that to Ghana, I think that's about 16 million.
Times 4.
16 million.
Much more.
Average 16 million
Ghana
Ghana
cedis. Because there's a fraction.
And then we would need to talk about putting up school buildings and other things.
Yeah.
And this is end up in private pockets. And somebody was talking about the flamboyance of our lifestyles. You know, where I'm earning 1,000 Ghana cedis a month, and within a year I have 3 houses in Accra. That's incredible.
Nobody is questioning.
And nobody is asking me anything because nobody has reported a case against me.
Not just houses.
I think
guest
that
houses.
I'm just, you see, we are tickling ourselves and laughing.
Okay.
And this is the time, Samson. I want to say that as a department, my boss, who is leading this, we are going to ensure that when such dockets are brought, we do all the meticulous things that are supposed to be done to make sure that we go to court and the right things are done in the name of the Republic.
Thank you. Thank you. What would Kweku say about the NCA issue? I think we should just quickly touch on that and move on. Well, I take a break and then we'll come and do the bond.
Yes, I haven't studied it.
Okay.
But I heard somewhere in the grapevine, maybe it's even out there in the media, that one, and it appears some of these things we just discussed with PURC who came in.
Okay.
The board chair actually gave the business to his business partner. True?
That's the suggestion.
No, this doesn't appear to be a suggestion. It appears to be something that happened. That's a disaster. No, I'm told some of the people who have been mentioned as having received money, some are denying now. That's what I'm told. But again, this is a very delicate matter. The project itself is very important, very critical. And I think
the spying project.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that itself is part of the problem. They denied it at a point.
Yes, but
there are civil liberty issues there.
Yes, I agree. I thought we dealt with it here.
Okay,
we didn't say it should be true. We were talking about the legal regime, how to ensure that it cannot be abused.
Okay.
Yes, I think we came to that compromise. But I'm even told that this administration is also interested in ensuring that it works.
Exactly.
But it should work properly. Yeah. But let's wait for the investigations.
Okay.
It's a very delicate
And more
thing.
importantly, we haven't heard these individuals who are involved.
Reputations are
them.
really at stake here. And it's criminal. It could send somebody to jail.
That's right.
Yes, these are the things
Now
in the public.
People lobby hard for certain board memberships.
Now you are
No.
Yeah, it's just one.
And the report says admitted taking it and have offered to refund. Jeez.
Admission.
Well, I mean, there's a lot we can say, but Santo, please let's move on.
Under 23.
Okay. We take a break here. We'll return to ask questions about the bond issue and the NDC going to the United States about this. We'll be right back.